Sometimes we share our stories with others hoping they will understand us, support us, or validate our pain. But not everyone you share your story with will be happy for you. Not everyone wants to see you rise from where you've fallen. Some people will use your past against you. They will remind you of your mistakes when you try to grow. They will question your intentions, your sincerity, and your worth. Your story is sacred. It is the path you walked, the pain you endured, and the lessons you learned. It does not need the approval of others. You do not need to explain yourself to those who are committed to misunderstanding you. There is power in silence, power in knowing what you've been through and choosing not to speak it for sympathy. Power in healing quietly, growing privately, and letting your results speak for themselves. Learn to protect your peace. Speak less. Move wisely. Let your scars be a reminder of your strength, not a badge you show to everyone. What matters is who you become, not who remembers your struggles. So don't tell everyone your story, not because you're ashamed, but because it belongs to you. Your personal story is one of the most sacred parts of your existence. It is a reflection of your journey, your struggles, your triumphs, and everything that has shaped who you are today. This story is deeply personal, rooted in the experiences that have defined your life. While it's natural to feel the urge to share this story with others, not everyone deserves to hear it. In fact, it's important to recognize the power of discretion and to protect your story from those who may not fully understand or respect it. Sharing your story can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, it can bring a sense of release, an opportunity to be heard and validated. On the other, it opens the door to vulnerability, and not everyone you share with will treat your story with the care it deserves. Some people may not recognize the depth of your pain, and instead, they might use your experiences against you. They might judge you for things you've done or endured, often without fully grasping the context behind your choices or struggles. Others might manipulate your story to suit their own purposes or to further their own agendas, twisting your narrative to align with their views or biases. When you share your personal journey, you're offering a glimpse into your inner world. It's like handing someone the key to your heart and hoping they'll treat it with the respect and empathy it requires. But not everyone is equipped to hold that key. Some may fail to grasp the significance of your experiences, while others may intentionally or unintentionally diminish their importance. Not everyone will understand the weight of your journey or the lessons you've learned along the way. Your pain, your growth, and your healing might be reduced to simple labels or misunderstandings, making it all the more essential to guard the telling of your story. In addition to the potential for misinterpretation, sharing your story with the wrong people can also expose you to unnecessary criticism or judgment. There are individuals who, rather than offering support, will focus on your mistakes or your perceived failures. They may be quick to point out where you went wrong, rather than recognizing the strength it took to move past those failures. This type of feedback can leave you feeling even more vulnerable, more misunderstood, and more discouraged than before. The reality is that some people will never see you for who you truly are. They will only see the version of you that fits into their narrative. This is why it's so crucial to be selective about who you allow into your inner circle and who you share your story with. Protecting your story doesn't mean living in secrecy or being ashamed of your experiences. It's about respecting yourself and acknowledging that some parts of your life are for you alone. Not every part of you needs to be explained or validated by others. The right people, those who genuinely care for you and understand your journey, will listen when you're ready to share, and they will do so with the respect and empathy that your story deserves. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone through your past. What matters is the person you've become through those experiences, not how others perceive your history. By protecting your story, you maintain ownership of it. You decide when and how to share it, and you do so with intention. When you hold your story close, You are affirming your strength, your resilience, and your autonomy. It's a reminder that you are not defined by your past, but by how you move forward and grow from it. Seeking validation through the sharing of your personal story is a natural instinct, but it can often be an unhealthy way to measure your worth. Everyone, at some point, might feel the need to prove themselves or gain affirmation from others. However, when it comes to sharing your journey, it's important to recognize that true healing and growth come from within, not from external validation. Your story is unique to you, and it should never be reduced to a mere plea for attention or sympathy. Seeking validation by recounting your struggles can trap you in a cycle of constantly needing others to affirm your experiences and the emotions tied to them. The desire to be validated by others stems from a place of vulnerability. It's an understandable impulse to want to be heard, to have your struggles acknowledged, and to be reassured that your pain matters. However, relying on others to validate your journey can lead to emotional exhaustion. When you seek validation, you may find yourself in a constant state of needing approval, and this can hinder your ability to truly move forward. Validation from others is often fleeting, and it doesn't provide the lasting comfort or healing that you seek. Instead of waiting for someone else to affirm your worth, it's far more powerful to internalize your experiences and trust your own sense of self. The truth is, not everyone will understand your story, and not everyone will offer the kind of validation you're looking for. People's reactions are often shaped by their own experiences, beliefs, and biases, and this means that no matter how much you share, you may never get the affirmation you expect or hope for. Some may dismiss your pain, others may not grasp the depth of your struggle, and some may even try to diminish your experiences in order to fit their own world. This is where the danger of seeking validation through storytelling lies. If your worth is tied to how others perceive your past, you may find yourself constantly adjusting your narrative to meet their expectations, losing sight of what truly matters in the process. True healing begins with self-acceptance and self-validation. When you stop seeking external approval, you begin to empower yourself. You no longer need others to affirm that your pain is real or that your experiences have value. You recognize that your story is valuable simply because it's yours. It's about accepting the lessons you've learned, the strength you've gained, and the person you've become in the process. Validation, when it comes from within, is lasting and unshakable. It's a sense of inner peace that arises from knowing your worth is not determined by anyone else's opinions or judgments. When you stop seeking validation through sharing your story, you also free yourself from the pressure of needing others to understand or approve of your experiences. This liberation allows you to move forward in your journey with confidence and self-assurance, without being tethered to the approval of others. You can share your story when it feels right, not as a means to prove anything to anyone, but as a way to connect with those who are ready and willing to truly listen and understand. In the end, the most important validation is the one you give yourself. By recognizing the value of your own experiences and accepting them, you become the ultimate source of validation in your life. This shift in perspective allows you to focus on personal growth and healing, rather than seeking external affirmation to define your worth. Silence is often seen as a passive state, but in reality, it can be one of the most powerful tools you have in protecting your personal story and maintaining control over your narrative. The power of silence goes beyond mere quietness. It's about the ability to withhold certain parts of your life from the world in order to preserve your sense of self and emotional well-being. While the world may urge you to speak up, to share, or to prove your worth, choosing silence can be an act of immense strength and self-protection. There is wisdom in the understanding that not every thought, feeling, or experience needs to be voiced. In a world that often values transparency and openness, it can be difficult to recognize that silence can be a strategic choice rather than a result of fear or uncertainty. By remaining silent, you exercise control over what others know about you, and more importantly, you shield yourself from potential judgment or criticism that might arise from sharing your story too freely. Not everyone who asks to hear your story is asking with genuine empathy or respect. Many people will listen, but only to either judge or to fill in the gaps with their own interpretations, which may not reflect the reality of your experiences. In this sense, silence becomes an act of self-preservation. When you choose not to share parts of your life, you protect the rawness of your emotions and the vulnerability embedded in your journey. Sometimes, speaking too soon or too much can leave you exposed, allowing others to offer opinions or judgments that can be hurtful or uninformed. By holding back, you avoid putting yourself in a position where your emotional state or your personal growth is placed in the hands of others. Instead, you keep your narrative intact, giving yourself time to process, reflect, and heal before deciding whether or not it's safe or beneficial to share. Furthermore, silence allows space for introspection and growth. When you don't constantly seek validation from others or feel pressured to explain yourself, you give yourself the freedom to fully experience your journey and the changes you're undergoing. Sometimes, the best way to understand who you are and what you've been through is to keep your thoughts to yourself for a while, to allow your feelings to settle, and to let your inner wisdom guide you. Without the influence of outside opinions, you can better assess your own emotional needs and determine what's truly important for you to share. The act of silence also serves as a shield against the inevitable misunderstandings that come with speaking too freely. People may misinterpret your words, misunderstand your intentions, or fail to see the nuance in your experiences. Silence offers you the space to maintain the integrity of your story without others distorting it through their lens. This is particularly important when dealing with sensitive or complex aspects of your life. You can keep those parts of your journey close to you until you are ready, and until you are in a place where you feel strong enough to explain them, or choose not to. Moreover, silence can foster a deeper form of communication. Sometimes words are unnecessary. Those who are truly meant to understand you will do so without you needing to explain everything. In these situations, silence can create a bond of trust and understanding that surpasses verbal expression. It's in these moments that people may begin to sense the depth of your experience and the strength of your character, without you needing to articulate it. This is a subtle yet profound way to communicate your story, a way that doesn't rely on words but instead on presence, actions, and the way you carry yourself. Ultimately, silence is not about hiding who you are or denying your experiences. It's about choosing when and how to express yourself in a way that serves your emotional health and personal growth. It's a choice to guard your energy, to protect your peace, and to decide that some parts of your journey are too sacred to be shared recklessly. In a world that often demands explanations, silence is the act of standing firm in your own truth, without needing anyone else to understand it. The idea that resilience, rather than sympathy, is what truly matters in your personal journey is a powerful concept. Often, when we share our stories of hardship and struggle, there is a natural desire for others to empathize, to offer their sympathy, and to comfort us. While sympathy is a kind and compassionate response, it's not the most important thing when it comes to personal growth and healing. What matters most is not how others perceive your struggles, but how you have weathered them, how you have grown from them, and how you have emerged stronger on the other side. Resilience is the ability to withstand or recover from difficult conditions. It's not just about surviving a challenge, but about learning, evolving, and transforming through it. While sympathy can offer momentary relief or emotional support, it's resilience that allows you to move forward and build a better future. Resilience is the inner strength that keeps you going when things are tough, the ability to face adversity head on and come out the other side with wisdom and a deeper understanding of yourself. When you focus on resilience rather than seeking sympathy, you shift the focus from being a victim of your circumstances to being a survivor and a creator of your own destiny. This shift is incredibly empowering. Rather than relying on others to provide emotional validation or comfort, you start to recognize the strength that resides within you. You understand that your struggles are not what define you. How you rise from them is what shapes who you are. This mindset helps you take control of your life, even when things seem beyond your control. Sympathy, although well intentioned, can sometimes unintentionally keep you tethered to the past. When others sympathize with your struggles, it can create a sense of dependency, where you feel that you need others to rescue you or to constantly remind you of your pain. Sympathy can sometimes lead to a sense of lingering victimhood, where you are constantly seeking comfort or reassurance from others, rather than taking active steps to heal and move forward. In contrast, focusing on resilience encourages you to move beyond your past struggles, to find strength in them, and to use them as a foundation for future growth. Resilience is about taking ownership of your story and using your experiences to propel yourself forward. It's not about denying or minimizing your pain, but rather about recognizing that your pain doesn't define you. You define how that pain shapes your life. Resilience empowers you to learn from hardship, to adapt, and to keep going despite the obstacles. It teaches you that setbacks are a natural part of life, and that each challenge is an opportunity to build character, gain insight, and develop emotional fortitude. When you embrace resilience, you begin to let go of the need for others to validate your experience. Instead of seeking sympathy, you find strength in knowing that your story, though difficult, is one of survival and growth. You realize that others may never fully understand the depth of your struggles, and that's okay. The most important thing is that you understand them, and you've learned to harness the power of your own resilience. It's about accepting your past without letting it hold you back, and using it as a springboard to reach new heights. In a way, resilience becomes a form of self-validation. You don't need others to tell you that you're strong, because you already know it. Your resilience is proof of your strength. When you stop seeking sympathy, you stop relying on others to define your worth. Instead, you look inward and recognize that your ability to persevere, to heal, and to grow is the truest reflection of who you are. This shift from seeking sympathy to focusing on resilience also helps you foster a sense of independence and self-reliance. Rather than waiting for others to acknowledge your struggles, you take charge of your own healing process. You learn to lean on your inner strength, to cultivate a mindset of perseverance, and to develop the emotional tools needed to navigate life's difficulties. By focusing on resilience, you empower yourself to face future challenges with confidence, knowing that you have the inner resources to overcome them. Furthermore, when you stop seeking sympathy, you also start to attract the right kind of people into your life. You attract those who appreciate your strength, who understand the value of resilience, and who respect you for the person you've become, not just for the struggles you've faced. The people who truly understand and care for you won't need to offer sympathy constantly. They'll recognize your resilience and support you in your journey forward. Ultimately, resilience is not just about surviving adversity, it's about thriving because of it. It's about using your experiences as stepping stones to greater emotional strength and personal growth. Focusing on resilience allows you to reclaim your power and your narrative, and it shifts the focus from what happened to you to what you've done with what happened. The true power lies not in the sympathy others offer, but in the strength and resilience you cultivate within yourself. The notion of selective sharing is an essential concept in safeguarding the integrity of your personal story and maintaining control over your narrative. We live in a world that is increasingly interconnected, where social media platforms, public figures, and even casual conversations can blur the lines between privacy and openness. While sharing your story can create a sense of connection, it is vital to be selective about who you allow into your inner world. Not everyone deserves access to your deepest experiences and personal struggles. By being discerning about whom you share with, you protect your emotional well-being and preserve the sanctity of your personal journey. When you share your story, you expose a part of yourself, and not everyone has the capacity to appreciate the depth or significance of what you are revealing. The act of opening up can make you feel vulnerable, and with vulnerability comes the risk of being misunderstood or judged. People often bring their own biases, preconceived notions, and limited understanding to any situation. What one person sees as a moment of strength or growth, another might see as a weakness or a mistake. By sharing your story with someone who is not emotionally mature or empathetic enough, you risk having your experiences trivialized or misinterpreted. Some may try to offer advice or solutions that aren't what you need, while others may simply not recognize the gravity of what you've been through. Being selective about whom you share your story with means recognizing the capacity of others to listen, understand, and hold space for your experiences without judgment. The people who truly deserve to hear your story are those who can offer empathy, support, and respect. These individuals are not just interested in your past or your struggles, but are willing to walk with you in the present, to understand your growth, and to encourage you as you continue to evolve. This is the kind of support that strengthens you rather than weakens you. They don't seek to fix or diminish your experiences, but to validate them, to recognize the emotional and personal power it took for you to get to where you are today. Moreover, selective sharing allows you to control the pace and the depth at which your story is revealed. Some aspects of your journey may be deeply personal or painful, and it's okay to wait until you feel safe or ready to share them. Not every chapter of your life needs to be unveiled all at once. Just because someone is close to you doesn't mean they are entitled to every detail of your life. Your experiences are yours to disclose on your terms, and it's okay to choose to keep certain parts to yourself until you are certain that sharing them will serve your growth, healing, or purpose. There's also the risk of oversharing in moments of emotional turmoil. When we are in distress, it's tempting to reach out to others for comfort or understanding. However, in these vulnerable moments, we might overshare and reveal too much to people who are not equipped to handle the emotional weight we carry. In such cases, we may feel exposed, misunderstood, or unsupported, and the aftermath of oversharing can leave us feeling more disconnected than we felt before. By being mindful of when and with whom we share, we prevent the potential for negative outcomes that could hinder our emotional recovery. Selective sharing also helps prevent emotional burnout. Constantly recounting your story to others can be draining, particularly when you're repeating the same painful experiences over and over again. The process of reliving trauma or hardship in detail can take a toll on your mental and emotional energy. By choosing who to share with, you ensure that the act of sharing doesn't become a repetitive cycle that keeps you trapped in the past, preventing you from moving forward. You conserve your emotional resources, allowing you to focus on healing and growth instead of constantly revisiting old wounds. Another important aspect of selective sharing is the understanding that your story might not always be fully understood by everyone. While some may be able to relate to your experiences, others may not have the capacity or background to offer meaningful support. There are individuals who might judge you, criticize you, or even offer meaning advice that doesn't align with your values or needs. By being selective, you protect yourself from these potentially harmful responses and create space for more meaningful, nurturing connections. You avoid having your story misused or manipulated, as others may twist it to fit their narrative or use it against you in the future. Lastly, selective sharing fosters a sense of autonomy and self-respect. By choosing when and with whom you share your experiences, you assert your right to control your narrative. You set boundaries around your personal story, deciding what is private and what is public, what is shared for healing and what remains protected for your own peace. This act of self-respect reinforces your worth and helps to maintain a sense of integrity. You do not have to conform to societal expectations of transparency or openness. You are entitled to keep parts of your life private if it serves your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. In conclusion, the practice of selective sharing is not about hiding or denying your truth. It is about safeguarding it. It's about knowing that your story is valuable and should be shared with those who can truly appreciate its significance. By being discerning about who you allow into your personal journey, you protect your peace, maintain your emotional boundaries, and foster relationships built on mutual respect and understanding. Selective sharing empowers you to keep control over your narrative, to share when it feels right, and to ensure that your experiences are heard in the way you intend, with the respect and care they deserve. Focusing on personal growth rather than recounting past struggles is an empowering shift in perspective that can reshape your entire outlook on life. The experiences you've had, no matter how challenging, are not the defining aspect of who you are. It's what you do with those experiences, how you choose to grow, and how you move forward that truly matters. Instead of constantly dwelling on the hardships of the past, it's important to direct your energy toward the present moment and the future you are actively shaping. When you stop focusing on the struggles you've endured and instead focus on your growth, you free yourself from the weight of past events. Life is a continuous journey of learning, evolving, and transforming. Every experience, no matter how difficult, contributes to the person you are becoming. Rather than revisiting painful memories and repeatedly recounting your challenges, use them as stepping stones to fuel your progress. The lessons learned from adversity can act as a foundation for your strength and resilience, guiding you as you continue on your path toward becoming a better version of yourself. Focusing on growth also shifts the narrative from one of victimhood to one of empowerment. When you recount your struggles, it's easy to slip into a mindset where your challenges define you, where you view yourself as someone who is constantly overcoming rather than someone who is actively evolving. But growth is about looking at where you are now, how far you've come, and what you're capable of achieving. Your potential is not locked in the past. It lies in what you choose to do with the lessons you've gained, the strength you've built, and the opportunities that lie ahead. By embracing the mindset of growth, you allow yourself to see every setback as an opportunity for improvement. Challenges are inevitable, but how you respond to them determines your future. You begin to understand that every difficult experience is part of a much larger journey, and you can choose to either be defined by your hardships or to use them as a platform for greater achievements. Focusing on what's ahead allows you to set goals, make decisions, and pursue dreams that align with the person you are becoming, not the person you once were. When you focus on growth, you also give yourself permission to let go of guilt, shame, or any lingering negativity associated with your past. Instead of clinging to regrets or unresolved emotions, you give yourself the freedom to move forward without being held hostage by the weight of previous struggles. This liberation allows you to embrace new possibilities, new relationships, and new experiences, all of which are integral to your continued growth and development. Moreover, By focusing on growth, you open yourself up to a mindset of continuous improvement. You recognize that life is not about perfection, but about progress. There will always be areas for improvement, new challenges to face, and opportunities to evolve. Rather than getting caught in the trap of believing that your past defines your future, you realize that your future is shaped by the actions you take today, the lessons you learn, and the changes you make in your mindset and behavior. Ultimately, focusing on growth allows you to become more resilient, more adaptable, and more self-aware. It shifts the focus from external validation to internal fulfillment. You no longer need to explain yourself to others or seek their approval for the way you live your life. Your growth speaks for itself. You begin to radiate a sense of confidence and peace because you know that, regardless of the struggles you've faced, you have chosen to grow, to learn, and to become stronger. The power of this mindset lies in its ability to transform not just your perception of the past, but also how you approach the future. Each day becomes an opportunity to take one step closer to the best version of yourself. You no longer need to explain or justify your journey to anyone else. Your growth becomes your testimony, your story, your greatest strength. So as you continue on your journey, remember this: you are not defined by your struggles, and you don't need to recount every hardship in order to prove your worth. What truly matters is your growth, the strength, wisdom, and resilience you have cultivated along the way. By focusing on growth, you take ownership of your narrative and move forward with a clear sense of purpose and a belief in your own potential. Your story is yours to tell, but it's the story of who you are becoming that will ultimately define you. And that story, more than any recounting of past pain, is the one that will inspire and guide you toward a bright future. In the end, remember that the most powerful thing you can do is continue to grow. Let go of the past, embrace the present, and step boldly into the future. The journey ahead is yours to shape, and the growth you experience along the way will be the true testament to your strength, your resilience, and your unwavering belief in your potential. Keep moving forward, and let your growth be the story that defines you.